without warning. Deep within the body, a single cell starts behaving abnormally. Then more cells follow, multiplying beyond control, until one day a doctor delivers the life-changing news: you have cancer. It takes away time, it takes away loved ones, it leaves families devastated. It strikes the young and the elderly alike. It shows no concern for who you are or how much lies ahead of you. Few forces in nature are as destructive or unforgiving. Perhaps the most unsettling fact is that it has been with us for an incredibly long time. Many people assume cancer is a disease of the modern world. We often point to processed foods, environmental pollution, and increasingly inactive lifestyles as the main causes. While these factors can certainly increase risk, the reality reaches much further into the past. In 2016, researchers working in a cave in South Africa uncovered a fossilized foot bone belonging to an ancient human relative. The specimen came from either Australopithecus or an early member of the Homo lineage. Dating to roughly 1.7 million years ago, the bone displayed unmistakable evidence of osteosarcoma, an aggressive form of bone cancer. This was not damage caused by an accident or a fracture. A tumor had formed in an individual that lived long before modern humans appeared. The same research also identified a non-cancerous tumor in the spine of another ancient skeleton from a similar period. Scientists refer to such abnormal growths as neoplasms. Discovering them in fossils approaching 2 million years in age reveals an extraordinary truth. Cancer is not a recent phenomenon, it is an ancient one. Most cancers develop in soft tissues, such as organs, skin, blood, and other delicate structures. Unlike bone, soft tissue rarely survives the passage of time. Over centuries and millennia, it breaks down completely. Bones, however, can endure. As a result, the fossil evidence we uncover represents only a small portion of the cancers that once existed. Researchers describe this limitation as preservation bias. We can only detect the cases that left traces on hard tissue. This is one reason mummies have proven so important to scientists. Because mummification can preserve soft tissue, it offers a far clearer glimpse into ancient diseases. Using CT scans and other advanced imaging techniques, researchers have identified tumors in Egyptian mummies that are several thousand years old. In one investigation, 137 mummies were examined, and signs of cancer were discovered in a number of them. Taken together, the evidence from fossils and mummies points to the same conclusion. Cancer affected ancient human populations far more than many people realize. And bones and mummies are not the only sources of evidence available to us. Ancient societies also left written records describing cancer. One of the earliest examples comes from the Edwin Smith Papyrus of ancient Egypt, which dates to about 1600 BCE. Among its medical observations are descriptions of abnormal masses in the breast. The document bluntly states that no cure exists for these conditions. It is a remarkably direct and sobering statement from a healer who lived nearly 4,000 years ago. Several centuries later, the Greek physician Hippocrates, who practiced around 400 BCE, introduced a term for the disease. He used the word karkinos, the Greek word for crab. He believed the network of swollen veins surrounding certain tumors resembled the legs of a crab extending from its body. Later, the Roman physician Celsus translated the term into Latin as cancer, which remains the name we use today. Across thousands of years in many different cultures, people recognized cancer, recorded its symptoms, and searched for explanations. What they lacked was an understanding of its true origins. To see why cancer has existed for so long, it helps to understand what it actually is. The disease begins when a cell acquires a genetic mutation. The DNA within that cell becomes damaged or is copied incorrectly during replication. In most cases, the body's repair mechanisms detect and correct these mistakes. Occasionally, however, an altered cell slips past those defenses. It continues dividing without restraint, forming a growing mass that can spread into nearby tissues. Genetic mutations occur naturally. They can arise any time cells divide and reproduce. In that sense, they're an unavoidable part of life. The greater the number of cells in an organism and the longer that organism survives, the more opportunities there are for errors to accumulate. Any living creature whose cells divide faces this possibility. Cancer is not unique to humans. Evidence suggests that dinosaurs developed cancer. Ancient fish suffered from it as well. Even trees can experience cancer-like growths. The underlying biological risk is woven deeply into the fabric of life itself. So were ancient humans less likely to develop cancer than modern people? In many cases, the answer is probably yes, but not for the reasons most people assume. The most important factor was lifespan. Many ancient people never reached old age. They often died from infections, injuries, starvation, or attacks by predators. For prehistoric populations, average life expectancy is estimated to have been between 25 and 35 years. Cancer generally requires time to develop. Most forms become far more common after the age of 50. If someone dies in their 30s from a severe infection or a hunting accident, cancer may never have the opportunity to emerge. Ancient populations also faced a different set of environmental risks. One major difference is that they were not exposed to tobacco smoking. They were not exposed to the vast array of industrial chemicals that exist today. Their diets consisted largely of unprocessed foods, and daily survival required constant physical activity. These factors likely lowered the risk of some forms of cancer. However, ancient life came with its own hazards. Smoke from indoor cooking fires frequently irritated the lungs. Chronic infections and parasites could create conditions that encourage certain cancers to develop. Continuous exposure to sunlight without protection increased the risk of skin damage and skin cancer. Ancient people were not living in a world free of cancer. More often, they simply succumbed to other dangers before cancer had time to emerge. So why does cancer appear so common in the modern world? A major reason is that people now live much longer. Advances in medicine, sanitation, and nutrition have greatly reduced many of the threats that once killed individuals at a young age. As a result, millions of people now survive into their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Those later decades of life are precisely when many cancers become most likely to develop. Another important factor is diagnosis. Modern technology can detect tumors long before symptoms become obvious. Imaging tools can reveal growths no larger than a fingernail hidden deep within the body. Ancient healers were limited to what they could see, touch, or observe externally. Countless internal cancers would have passed unnoticed. At the same time, certain aspects of modern life do increase cancer risk. Tobacco use has strong links to cancers of the lungs, throat, and mouth. High consumption of processed and red meats has been associated with colorectal cancer. Obesity is connected to numerous forms of the disease. Excessive exposure to ultraviolet radiation remains a major cause of skin cancer. Recognizing that cancer is an ancient condition has important implications for modern research. If the disease has existed for millions of years, then it is deeply rooted in the biology of multicellular organisms. Scientists are investigating why some species appear to experience lower cancer rates than expected. Elephants, for instance, possess additional copies of a tumor-suppressing gene known as TP53. Researchers hope that studying these natural defenses may lead to improved treatments for humans. The fossil record also provides valuable clues. By examining ancient tumors preserved in bone and comparing them with modern cases, scientists can track how certain cancers have changed through time and identify environmental or biological factors that may influence their development. Cancer is more than a medical challenge. It is also an evolutionary mystery. Understanding its origins and long history may be essential to understanding how to defeat it. Imagine a bone nearly 1.7 million years old. Within it, evidence of a tumor. The individual it belonged to lived before written language, before cities, before civilization itself. Yet cancer was already present. It has accompanied the human lineage for an astonishing span of time, making it one of our oldest biological enemies. The difference today is that for the first time in that immense history, humanity possesses the knowledge and tools needed to challenge it directly.